What's up, positive bitches? How are we doing today? If you're hearing this episode, you are meant to be here, so keep listening. On that Bitches Positive podcast, sometimes we will laugh, other times, baby girl, we're gonna cry, but we will always walk away feeling our most empowered, positive bitch self. That is babe in true connection with herself. On this podcast, we unbecome who we are not so we can fully step into exactly who we came here to be. This is the first episode of 2024. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we're talking about how to stop giving our energy away to one sort of human connection that, let me just tell you, is draining you whether you know it or not. In 2024, we are taking no prisoners, okay? We are magnetizing our energy. We're getting what we want. Magnetic woman math is I want it and so I get it. And that's seriously what we are about on this podcast. Now, I've noticed in the news cycle in media that they are pushing something rather disturbing, and that is situationships. Two articles in particular that I happened to see that were brought to my attention. One was called Dating Trend Alert. Gen Z women prefer situationships according to this study. I would love to know where that study came from. Another one was literally in Times, situationships are the future of dating, and that's not a bad thing. Anytime I see the media, news outlets pushing a certain agenda, I know someone's paying for something. You always want to follow the money trail. There is this surge of positive information around situationships in the media, yet anyone who has had a situationship and is in their right mind knows how depleting situationships are. We cannot say, oh, I want to be my most magnetic self, and at the same time engage in connections that are depleting ourselves of this magnetic energy. We can't say, oh, I am this boss bee, yet be engaging with people who are constantly ghosting us and fulfilling none of our wants nor our needs. Here's the stitch. If you want to step into your most magnetic timeline, you're going to have to engage with your most magnetic behaviors, and that means saying goodbye, sayonara, to these situationships which you know, I know, we know are not serving us. It did cross my mind that there are many, many dating apps, and did these dating apps pay people? Do they have PR to get positive news articles written about them? Of course they do. That is literally how the news cycle works. People pay to be in the news to have good PR. And then we get articles that are saying situationships are good for us, that they're really, really great, and we actually prefer them, when I've literally never heard a woman in my entire life say that ever, not even once. Why would they be trying to convince us of this? Probably so we get back on the apps instead of just focusing on stepping into our most magnetic timeline and actually attracting love that is sustainable. Before we get into how to beat hookup culture, how to get out of situationships and actually attract a relationship that fulfills you, a couple of announcements. Since it's the top of a new year, I am having a 2-week sale on the Pedestal Path course, 20% off this course for 2 weeks. I will put the discount code in the show notes, and I will put the link for the Pedestal Path also in the show notes. If you want to learn how to tap into your magnetic energy, if you want to kiss goodbye situationships, learn how to attract from your pedestal rather than chase, then the Pedestal Path is what you need. You've been treating everyone else for this holiday season. It's time to treat yourself so you can get what it is that you want. Remember, we don't put all of our hopes into New Year's resolutions. We just take action. And when we shift, our whole entire world shifts with us. Of course, if you're looking for one-on-one coaching, I am a certified life and energy coach, and I would love to help you. I have a range of offerings. So if you want to know more about the details of one-on-one coaching, what this looks like, you can DM me now on Instagram at vibingwithcc. My Instagram will be in the show notes, and follow me while you're there because I post daily magnetic tips for you to learn how to activate all of those magnetic energies. Now let's get into today's episode. I found this Times article super interesting. Let's read some of the article. So the person who created the term situationship, her name is Karina. Karina described situationship as a hookup with emotional benefits as opposed to the equally amorphous friends with benefits, which starts platonically but develops a sexual component. What the two do have in common, though, is a lack of commitment and clearly defined roles. And that lack of commitment in situationships could actually have more freeing effects than one might think. Yeah, freeing from peace, freeing from having a calm center, freeing from having a clear mind. It will definitely free you from all of those things. So if that's what you're thinking, then you're absolutely correct. Situationships, friends with benefits, what do they offer you? Anxiety, questioning, and they always lead us to gaslight ourselves. We were nothing, but somehow I had all these emotions, but we were nothing, so I can't have those emotions. We're human beings, okay? We develop emotions. Let's talk about attachment for 1 minute. What is our attachment system? What's the purpose of us becoming attached to other individuals? In tribal times, if you did not attach to a tribe and you tried to go off on your own in unknown climate, you tried to pick the correct berries that weren't poisonous, you tried to hunt and fish, make your clothing, make your home all by yourself, you would have died because there was no way you could have done all of that on your own. Our ancestors, how did they survive? They survived in tribes. So human beings created an attachment system because of survival of the fittest. You needed to attach to others in order to survive. So if that is the case, attachment isn't a negative thing. We need to understand how to have a healthy interdependence with other human beings. When it becomes codependent and obsessive, or on the other spectrum, avoidant, then we run into some issues. But having a healthy attachment to another individual, guess what? That's natural. We are trying to go against what is natural, and it's causing us so much pain. Trying to tell ourselves that situationships are good for us and they're what everyone is doing, so we should do it too. We're going against what is natural, which is our own attachment system. There was this whole entire notion that attachment is the root of all misery. That's not true. That is not the case. The actual quote that was stated is that desiring something to be anything else than what they actually are is the root of all misery. Convincing ourselves that attachment is not natural, that's going to cause us to be miserable. Convincing ourselves that situationships are what we want and what we have to have because other people are doing it, that is what actually causes misery, not attachment. That is not what the Buddha said. That was misquoted. It's hoping and desiring things to be different than they actually are. That is the root of misery. There is something about situationships that can be helpful, and that is the opportunity to get to know multiple people at once. What is it called when you're getting to know multiple people at once? Is it coconuts? No, that's not it. Is it chocolate milk? No, that's not it. Is it situationships? No. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's called dating. Dating, when you get to know multiple people before you commit to one, you get to know multiple people. That freeing aspect of dating where other people are trying to court you and you're trying to figure out who is the one for you. Why are we forgetting that exists? Why are we pretending like dating isn't a thing? Why are we just jumping to situationship when dating is literally the part before you commit to someone that allows you to get to know multiple people at once? Did we forget? Am I living in some weird portal where this has just completely been blacked out? Is this the Mandela effect? What is going on? I don't understand sometimes. That temporary period before commitment is called dating. There's nothing wrong with that. However, if this temporary period of dating never ends and it becomes a situationship, that is where we run into problems. Maybe you're thinking, Cece, I don't get it. What's the big deal? I have a couple of situationships. I'm fine, whatever it may be. Okay. Imagine a situationship, but it's with your job instead. They won't tell you whether or not you're hired. Yeah, because it's a situationship. We don't know. No labels, blah, blah, blah. They won't tell you your salary. I'll have to see how I feel. Not really sure. They won't tell you what days to come in. They won't tell you what your hours are. They won't even tell you what to do because it's a situationship with your job. Yeah. They're not going to give you any info. You're just going to have to always be guessing, always be wondering, just be on your toes all the time, just in case. Just go with the flow. Yeah, that could be freeing. Yep. Freeing in the sense that you have no idea what's going on literally ever. There are so many unknowns in this world. You could have a 9-to-5. You can have a stable relationship. You can have pretty much anything you want, but nothing guarantees what tomorrow will bring. In a world where we are semi in control, we can control what we broadcast and therefore control what we attract to a certain extent. There are so many unknowns still because we don't have complete control. We are in union with God. Why would we want to add more unknowns into our picture? I don't understand that. Why would we do that? If you wouldn't want a situationship with your job, why would you want one in your love life? I don't think we would. Why would we always want to be guessing, wondering, questioning, and confused? What would be the point of that? What would be the point of that? Please enlighten me. Another interesting part of this article read, situationships, with all their gray area, yeah, sounds so fun, might actually be helping people focus less on defining where they're going and more on fully enjoying the present. It's one thing to live in the present, and there's another thing where you're so consumed by the unknown that you just freeze. This aligns with the whole entire notion of if you saw a bear 50 feet away from you, your body would go into your sympathetic nervous system and you would be able to respond by flighting, by running away. However, if a bear was on top of you, what do? You play dead. Our body still goes into our sympathetic nervous system, but instead of flighting or fighting, it freezes. Situationships are causing us to get so stressed out, so foggy brained that we are freezing. That's not living in the moment. I mean, is it living in the moment or is it living completely unconsciously? Those are two different things. When we are so stressed beyond what we can handle, we freeze. And I see it in my friends. I see it in my family. I see it in the people that I coach. Situationships are causing us to get so stressed out. We're so in the unknown that we're not even able to fight or flight. We're just freezing up. Again, there's nothing wrong with dating around until you find someone who is worth the investment of your time and energy. There's nothing wrong with not putting all of your eggs in one basket if you're not sure about that person. But if we can never understand what is happening in our reality, we're always questioning, that is no way to live. I would never tell you that if you have had a situationship that was a waste of your time. I think it's important that we honor every single connection. There's always a positive meaning we can derive from a connection. There's always flowers we can find in the mud. And if there's no flowers you can find in the mud, plant your own seeds and water those flowers. But I don't want us to think that just because society in some areas is moving towards this idea that everyone's in a situationship, that we shouldn't honor commitment, that this is healthy or something that we have to do too. It's interesting when we think about going out once a week, having fun, meeting new people versus drinking every single night. Drinking every single night to me is like a situationship. Oh, I don't know what's going on. I don't know where I'm going. I have no clear direction. I'm just blah, 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 blah. I'm just word vomiting my way through my reality. It's no way to live. There are better ways to find that we can live in the moment. There are better ways to exist in the moment. There are better things we can be doing to have fun than just be relentlessly in situationships. The worst thing I think about situationships is truly the gaslighting that occurs when a situationship ends. You tell yourself, we were never anything yet. I'm so brokenhearted. Oh my goodness, I'm so stupid. Why did I fall for them? They never even gave me commitment, but I kept going. We blame and gaslight and hurt ourselves when we allow in people who aren't willingly giving us what we want and need. I feel that when a situationship ends, it's almost worse than a relationship, because when you talk to your friends about it and you say, oh, me and Josh, we're not together anymore. Your friend Stacy is like, wait, you guys were together? Well, no, I mean, we weren't together, but in my head. And then Stacy is like, well, that sounds like you were just friends with benefits. I mean, damn, Stacy, maybe you have a point. Situationships deplete us more than they fulfill us, not even because we're quote unquote wasting our time with someone who doesn't want commitment. It's because we waste our time outside of that connection, worried about the connection. When they go home and you're alone in your apartment eating ramen, what are you thinking about? What are we? Are they talking to other people? Are they dating other girls? Oh my God, he's liking all of these girls' photos. This is so embarrassing. Oh, does he want commitment? Does he not? How can I convince him to love me? We waste all of our brain space worried about them instead of focusing on school, our studies, getting onto Dean's List, graduating at the top of our class, our career, our side hustle, our Etsy store, the book that we're reading, our new skill, our friendships. We waste so much time. It's not with that person that we're wasting time. We're wasting time outside of the connection, just fearing what the connection even means. And then gaslighting ourselves if it goes in a direction we weren't planning. We have to start waking up and hearing the music. Situationships are not going to sustain us. And if you think it's allowing you to live more in the moment, you have not lived. Because let me just tell you, there are far more beneficial ways to live in the moment. There are far more ways to feel dopamine and happiness than just having situationships that never go anywhere. I truly believe in my bones we have many lifetimes, but each individual lifetime, it's short. The journey here is a come and it's a go. It's short. So for us to be worried, what are we, instead of focusing on growing a life that we're proud of, what are we doing? What is the point of that? We're spending so much time in a space of feeling not good enough, in a space of feeling unlovable, when there are so many people who want to love us and will allow us to feel amazing about ourselves. We need to have intentional intimacy in society. The fact that people want us to live willy-nilly is insanity. I don't do anything. I don't eat. I don't breathe. I don't dress without being intentional about it. I don't meditate without being intentional about it. I don't speak to people without being intentional about it. I have fun. I live in the moment. I enjoy my life, and I'm intentional. These things are not mutually exclusive. And if you want to go have fun and date, go have fun and date. But you don't need to convince yourself that you have to have stagnant relationships that go nowhere. Because what? A Times article is telling you to do that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Hookup culture is an energetic trap where we give too much of ourselves away and never get back in equal energetic return. Here's the thing. My mom always used to tell me the story of this bag, and she said, Cece, do you know why everyone wanted this bag? And I said, no. She said the rich wanted it, the poor wanted it, all different classes, all different religions, all different races, everyone all over the world wanted this bag. And she said, just guess why. Why do you think? And I said, was it the most beautiful? And she said, no. And I said, okay, was it the most expensive? And she said, no. And so I said, okay, I don't know why everyone wanted the bag then. And she said, because it was hard to get, a limited edition. The thing is, we all have inherent value, but it's not always perceived as such. Let's say me, okay? Let's say I went out and I gave everyone my body, my energy, my time, and my affection and attention. If I do that, people are going to perceive me less valuable, not because I'm actually less valuable than the person next to me, but because of how I'm using my energy. However, if I don't just give my body, my time, my energy, my affection, attention away to just anyone, people then pedestal me and perceive me as harder to get, perceive me as a limited edition, and suddenly they perceive me as having more value, even though I have the same exact value I had prior. When I perceive myself as having more value, so I don't just give all of myself away, other people are going to perceive me as more valuable as well. It's a mirror effect. How I treat myself will be reflected back to me in my external relationships. Now, here's the thing. There are going to be two types of people who will be able to see your value. People who will know how to handle it and people who will not know how to do a damn thing about it. Let's say I gave two people a Chanel bag, someone who understood luxurious goods and someone who did not. The person who does not understand luxurious goods isn't going to care. They might disrespect the bag. They might mess it up. They might throw it out. They might sell it. The person who understands luxurious goods is going to take care of that bag, understand that bag, tend to that bag, do what that bag needs. There are going to be people who see your worth, and there's going to be some that understand how to tend to your garden, tend to your worth, respect you, and put the action behind it. And there's going to be other people who see your value, but don't know how to handle it. They won't know how to show up for you, how to respond to you, how to hold and encompass your energy. And there's an important distinction to be made. Because some of us get stuck in situationships with the people who can see our value but don't know how to tend to our garden. They can see what we're worth, but they also can't seem to get their act together. They can understand, a Chanel bag is thousands of dollars, but it doesn't mean they can afford the Chanel bag. It doesn't mean they can afford your presence in their reality. It's important that you're able to see the difference between people who can afford your energy and those who want to afford it, but simply cannot. It doesn't take a genius to understand that hookup culture isn't working for us. It takes a 25-year-old female to go onto TikTok and to see all the girls hysterically crying that they keep getting their hearts broken over and over again because they're falling in love with people who are never stating that they want commitment, but will keep them around because that person is bored and or lonely. Hookup culture goes against what is natural for us because we naturally gain attachment for people. And again, attachment isn't evil, it's natural. When it goes towards codependency and or this obsessive nature, that is when we have to be like, whoa, we need to take a pause here. We need to balance out our own energies. But hookup culture is not something that is good for us because it's causing more harm than it's doing good. And there's nothing wrong with dating, but imagine that you can only ever date and you can never get to the next level and you can never commit. And it's the same thing every day, every weekend. That would not give us happiness. As human beings, we want to grow things. We want to see progress. We want to know that things are moving in some sort of direction. That's why we habit track. That's why we keep little calendars of what's going on when. We like to see things progressing, things moving forward, things expanding. It's also natural that energy is always expanding. So what do we want to expand in our own life? Hookup culture, one thing it will give you is a ton of different emotions, a ton of different energy in different directions, and a ton of confusion. If that's what you want, then hookup culture is exactly what you want to move towards. But if you want commitment, if you want a relationship, if you want a family, if you want love, if you want to feel that someone is valuing you, then there are barriers that you need to put up. There are connections you may need to end, and intentional intimacy is what you need. The problem I see is that we aren't taught how to understand our own needs. We aren't taught how to communicate those own needs. And we aren't taught that communicating our own needs is a healthy thing to do. We're actually told you're being too needy. Just be in a situationship. What's wrong with you? That's what everyone's doing. You have needs. No, you don't. Shut up, sit down, be quiet, look pretty. Oh, that's what we're told. That's right. Interesting. I think the undefined roles in relationships that are what we see as situationships, I think this is a reflection that we haven't defined ourselves yet. How can I express myself to another when I don't even know what or who I am? If I don't know who I am, how can I tell who you are? And how can I tell who we are as a couple? I recently have been watching Married at First Sight, the American version, and there is one couple where the guy is always saying, I don't have emotions, I just feel nothing towards you. And they had a therapist come in, and that therapist recommended that this guy, let's just call him Josh, that he gets therapy. And he says, well, I don't need therapy because I don't have any feelings. And if I don't have any feelings, then I don't need to communicate anything. And that's exactly why the therapist went along to say, that's exactly why you need therapy. Everyone has feelings, but if we can't identify the feelings, it makes it much harder to communicate the feelings. It's the same thing with if you don't know what you need, it makes it really hard to communicate your needs. So then what happens is we allow situationships or not the best connections to keep going because we don't even know what we want, what we need from another. We don't even know how to communicate it because we don't know how we're feeling. We don't know who we are and what it is we truly desire. So my first question for you is, what do you really want? Do you want unintentional by accident situationships that are making you go on an emotional roller coaster for 2024? Do you want to continue in these lackluster relationships, or do you want to find a committed relationship? Do you want to find connections? Let's say you just want to date. Do you want to find just connections that fill you up emotionally rather than deplete you? Do you want to continuously be the side chick who doesn't get what she needs? Or do you want to live in a world where you are that girl and you get the love that you want? You get the love that you need. You're able to glow from the inside out because you're allowing someone to treat you right rather than standing and just taking treatment that you wouldn't wish on your worst freaking enemy. What do you want? If we know whatever we allow is what we amplify, the first thing you have to do in 2024 to beat hookup culture is to stop allowing people who give you the bare minimum. To stop allowing people into your life that give you nothing, that aren't there when you need them to be there, that cancel on you last minute, that aren't appreciative of your energy, of who you are. If you keep giving them all of the benefits of you as a girlfriend, but they won't give you the title of a girlfriend, you're the one who's unhappy. You're the one who has to make a change. You're the one who has to stop giving so much of yourself. I recently made a video where I said, give me 60 seconds and I will help you get them off your pedestal. If there is someone in your life giving you bare minimum, not the best treatment, I want you to just listen to me right now, okay? Them not texting you back or being inconsistent, that's a turnoff. Ew. It shows a low level of maturity and an unreadiness for a relationship. You constantly seeing tarot card videos of them missing you, yeah. Wouldn't you miss yourself too? Have you met yourself? Them looking at your story, giving you a text here and there. My grandmother could do that. That's literally the bare minimum. It's unattractive. If you're asking yourself, why can't they just love me? Why aren't they being consistent with me? Oh, baby girl, you better flip that script and become the subject of your own sentence again and stop being the object. Instead of asking yourself, why aren't they being consistent with me? Ask yourself, why would I want someone who's inconsistent? What does that shed light on about my past? Maybe I'm just repeating a pattern and it's not about the dude. It's about the dynamic the dude fulfills in my own story. If they're not able to choose you, begging them won't change a thing. Trust me, tried that, didn't work. But you can reclaim your reality by choosing yourself. We don't have to accept these behaviors that are making us feel literally terrible about ourselves. And if we keep doing this and we bring this into 2024, I don't like to say that we ever are wasting our time, but if we don't stop and we know something's hurting us, we are wasting our own time. I'm not going to lie to you. In this earth plane, in this reality, there is something called time. Now, time exists differently in different dimensions, but here we experience time as something that rolls whether we want it to or not. If you keep allowing the same behaviors, you're going to keep getting the same results. If you want to shift what you're receiving, you have to shift what you're doing. And the easiest way to do this is to stop allowing the behaviors you don't want to amplify. So we're going to invoke our dark divine feminine, because our divine feminine is not just the creator, she's the destroyer of all cycles that no longer serve us. And we are going to say, I have the ability to cut off cycles that are no longer serving me. I have the ability to cut off cycles that are no longer serving me. I am choosing myself. I am choosing myself. I am ready and willing to make positive changes in my life. I am ready and willing to make positive changes in my life. It's time. It's 2024. It's 2024, okay? We know what doesn't work for us. We've experienced it. We know how it feels. So we're going to stop allowing what we don't want to see in our reality, because we know as positive bitches, no one can take our power away from us. We can only willingly give it away. So we're going to stop willingly giving it away to people who don't deserve our time, our energy, and or our body. Okay? Now, there is this verse from the Bible. Now, I don't usually quote from the Bible, but this is important, okay? There is this woman. Her name is Ruth, and we need to understand something about her. There is something I coined, the CVC principle. Now, what this means is choosing versus chasing. There is a difference between chasing someone, which will repel them, versus choosing them. Ruth knew how to choose, and I want you to learn how to choose too. Before we get into what choosing looks like, what is chasing? Chasing is when you're pursuing them, maybe even getting obsessed with them. You're texting them constantly. You are carrying all the conversations. You are reaching out to them first. You're always trying to make plans with them and they're not reciprocating that energy. It's not an even energy exchange like a tennis match. Instead, it's like you're the bowling ball and you're knocking down all their energy, which is just you repelling them. That's chasing. You're stalking them. You're asking their friends about them. You're giving up all your time, your body, your energy. You're doing the duties of a girlfriend without the title of a girlfriend. That's chasing. Choosing is when you're interested in someone and you'll let them know you're interested by starting a light conversation with them, saying hello. If you ever text them first, you do it once to show interest and then you're done. And then you let them pursue you if you're wanting a masculine energy. Now, what I like that Ruth did is she saw a man, okay? And this man provided for her material needs and her emotional needs, and that's Ruth 2:13. He was able to give her what she needed and what she wanted. Thus, he showed he could do the tasks of a husband before Ruth expressed her desire to give him the title. There is nothing wrong with you choosing who you want. I think that there's a narrative that if you're in your divine feminine energy, you have to be a sitting duck and just wait for your knight in shining armor. That's BS. I don't believe in that. If you are in your divine feminine, you don't have to chase, but you can attract from your pedestal. If there's someone you're interested in, and what did Ruth do, by the way? She saw that this man could provide for her materially and emotionally. He was able to give her what she wanted and what she needed. Both. Get a man that can do both, okay? And then she said, I'm interested. I'm going to let him know that he's able to pursue me. There's nothing wrong with being honest about how you're feeling, with opening up a conversation with someone you're interested at a bar or whatever it is. But once you do that, don't glue yourself to them. Don't chase them. Let the masculine energy pursue you. Now, Ruth didn't just say, hey, anyone want to be my husband? Get over here. No, she saw first that this man was able to provide for her material needs, her emotional needs, her wants, her desires. He was able to do all of these things. And then she said, I'm going to tell this person that they're allowed to come closer to me. That's called intentional intimacy. Look at what they're doing. I swear some of us are not getting played. We are simply playing ourselves, and hookup culture is winning. Situationships are winning because we're not looking at what Bob is doing. We're convincing ourselves, we're romanticizing them in our own heads, and we're filling in their silences with our own desires. Oh, Bob didn't text me, but that's fine. 2 weeks later, Bob didn't text me. He's just so in love with me that he's too nervous. 6 months later, Bob's not texting me because he's secretly in love with me. Bob is liking a bunch of half-naked girls on Instagram's pictures who he doesn't know. It's fine. It's not what I want, but it's fine. Oh, he's at the strip club till 2 a.m. Oh, it's fine. Whatever. Oh, he's verbally abusive. Okay. What are we doing? There's a fine line between assuming the best when you tend towards anxiety and straight up lying to yourself. Lying. You need to find that line. Gotta find that line. Are they playing you, or are you simply playing yourself because you refuse to look at the writing on the wall? Men will quite literally move mountains when they want to be with you. You won't be confused when there's actual courtship going on. You will have no confusion because it will be so obvious. Do we have to go through all of the men who have left royal families in order to be with the woman that they've loved? Because it's not just Prince Harry. It's a bunch of them. Literally. Multiple men have left royal families. They have changed the religion of their whole entire kingdom for a woman that they wanted. How do you know someone wants you? You won't be confused. That's when you know. That's when you know. I've had so many men in my life tell me that they know so quickly when they want to be with a woman long term. My dad told my mother on the first date that he was going to marry her. Of course, she was like, "You're insane. That's not happening." And look at them now. But men know. I'm not kidding you. First 3 months, they know if they want to marry you or not. Women operate a little bit differently. We really want to make sure that we have a feeling of safety, and we need to see that. But men know quick. So if your guy doesn't know if he can commit to you or not now, he's not going to commit to you later. I know it's a hard pill to swallow, but I'd rather you deal with that hard pill to swallow now than choke later, because it's not worth you trying to convince yourself that you can convince them to change their mind, because you won't. If someone doesn't want the same life as you, don't try to convince them. There's billions and billions and billions of people on this planet who want a similar lifestyle as you, who have the same values as you, who want the same life as you. You don't have to settle for a situationship where you're trying to convince a man to love you, because that's what you're doing. You're literally begging them for nothing, because you're not going to change their mind. And why do you think you have to exist in a relationship where you are begging someone to love you? Where is that stemming from? What connection does that remind you of? Have you always had to beg for love from your parents, from your siblings, from your friends? Maybe this is more about you than it is even about them. So look at this person. Can they give me commitment? Can they fulfill me emotionally, materially? Can they give me what I need? One of the biggest gifts our partners can give us is literally to check us when we're out of line. This is something we need to look for. Instead of being in fight, flight, freeze, or appease, where we're so consumed with, does anyone like me? Does anyone like me? You need to flip the script on your own perspective and say, do I even like this person? What are they giving me? Anxiety or a happy connection? Which one is it? There's a difference between chemistry and cosmic connection. Sophia Richie recently in an interview said the reason she knew her now husband was her husband is because she felt safe. A lot of us, the reason we're getting stuck in situationships is because we're chasing chemistry rather than a cosmic connection. Chemistry is exactly what it sounds like. It's a chemical cocktail of dopamine and adrenaline where we feel, oh my God, I'm obsessed with this person when we don't even know them. If you're obsessed with someone and you don't even know them, that's chemistry. That's a chemical cocktail. What we want isn't to feel like we have 6 or 7 cups of coffee. We don't want to feel like that. We want to feel safe, grounded, like we can nurture this person and they can nurture us. That's a cosmic connection. Women, we aren't gold diggers as much as people want to say. What it is really is we're safety diggers. We're wired biologically to want safety. In tribal times, again, when we go back, who was hunting? Who was doing the fighting? It was the men. They created safety for us. And there is a really biological part of us that still wants that safety. And for us to lie to ourselves and say, no, we don't want that. We want situationships, which I will argue are the least safe connection we can have. We're lying to ourselves and we're hurting ourselves. We're gaslighting ourselves. We're letting just narratives that have their own agenda for money beat us. And why? So we can be miserable? We have to reclaim our reality. We need to take our power back. So we're going to open our eyes and see who this person is, what they're giving, what they're not giving. We're not going to chase this chemistry of this hookup culture of ups and downs. We're going to look for a cosmic connection, someone who makes us feel safe. The next thing we need to do is define ourself. If you're not working on yourself, you're wasting this incarnation. At the end of the day, you came to this planet alone, and you're going to leave this planet alone. You have a spirit team, you have God, you have your angels, you have all those entities around you always, and they love you. But you as a human are here for you to learn, develop, and grow. If you are not fulfilling yourself, you're going to starve for it in other people. I'll always tell this story because it's so true. When I went to the supermarket one time and I didn't have anything to eat that day, I started buying everything in the store, things that were gluten, dairy, things I would never eat. And when I got home and I looked at what I bought, I thought to myself, why did I buy this? I would never eat any of this. This was a waste of money. What am I doing? And it dawned on me that when we are starving for something outside of ourselves, whether it's food or love, we drop our standards, our boundaries, our desires, and we just accept in anything. So if we are starving for food, we're going to just take anything we can get. If we're starving for love, we're going to just take anything we can get. Instead of starving for love outside of yourself, how can you start loving, tending to, and nurturing yourself? Is there a creative hobby you can get into? Is there an activity you've been wanting to try? Can you get a gym membership, start yoga, go for daily walks, read a book, listen to a TED Talk, learn a new language? How can you diversify your own life and build yourself up? The beautiful thing is, like attracts like. So if you're working on yourself and you have pure intentions, you're also going to attract someone who is working on themselves and has pure intentions. I recently went to a bar, and of course the person I end up talking to has crosses all over them, similar to me. I'm actually wearing the Blessed Mother right now. It is the most beautiful choker ever. I love it. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it, but love the Blessed Mother. I aligned with the person who's really spiritual and into God because that's who I am. And energy will always do two things. Energy is always expanding, and it's always going towards a similar frequency. Always expanding, and it's always moving towards energy that looks like itself. So what you put out there is what you're going to get. If you realize, okay, I keep attracting situationships, maybe I need to take a break. Maybe I need to take a breather and just work on myself. I remember when I went through a breakup, I went on a date that same week I went through a breakup, and it was the worst decision I could have made because I was way too emotional. I wasn't over what I just went through. And then all I did was think about how much better my then ex was than the person who was sitting across from me. And it just made me so upset. Some of us need to take a break. If you need a breather, you're not wasting time. You're actually building momentum. You're building momentum because you're building up yourself. I think, why waste time? And I'm doing air quotes because, again, is it wasting time if you're meeting new people and gaining connections and learning lessons? No, but if you keep doing the same thing that's making you miserable, then yeah, I do think that's wasting time. But instead of just dating, burning yourself out, if you feel burnt out, take that as a cue to take a break. You're allowed to take a break from dating. You're allowed to just focus on yourself. You're allowed to just breathe. Listen to what your body is telling you. Is your body telling you you want a break? Take a break. Be intentional about how you're living. Maybe you need to set up a morning routine and a nighttime routine, and maybe you need to focus on your career before you jump back into dating. There's nothing wrong with that. And I know, trust me, I know, because I'm seeing it now. There's so many people, when you get to a certain age, they start getting engaged and married, and there's so much pressure on everyone, from their family, from their friends. The amount of questions I get of, when are you getting engaged? When are you getting engaged? To me, it's the most annoying thing in the world, because why does anyone care? It's none of your business. This is my life. And I get that I'm in a relationship and I even feel that pressure. So I know, especially when I talk to my single friends, I hear the pressure they're talking to me about. I also feel it, and I get it. There can be a lot of pressure to date, find your husband, do all these things. But you can't do that if you're just letting in anyone and everyone, and you're not even being intentional with what you're broadcasting into this universe. If you want to find your husband, you will find your husband. If you're only attracting situationships right now, you need to commit to yourself first, and then you will attract commitment in your life. But how can you commit to you first? What are the things you can do? Can you set up a routine? What are the workouts? What are your career? What are you eating? Everything. Commit to yourself first, and you will attract more commitment in your life. The next part of beating situationships and hookup culture is not only knowing what you need, but communicating what you need. So when you're defining yourself, you're going to start to also reflect on past relationships. What worked for you? What didn't work for you? What did we love? What did we hate? Do we need a phone call every day? Do we need more space? I want you to start to reflect on what works best for you. Now, there are some needs that you have to fulfill for yourself. Like, no one can be your happiness. Happiness has to be something that can come from within. Of course, people can amplify happiness or people can amplify our sadness, but ultimately, these feelings come from within. Once you're in a relationship, your happiness in this relationship, your needs getting met, that is your responsibility. You have to speak up for yourself. It is not needy to speak up for what you need. That's you placing yourself on the pedestal. The squeaky wheel always gets the grease. I know it might be a little bit uncomfortable to say, hey, this is what I need. But you know what's more uncomfortable? Never speaking up for what you need, then breaking up with this person thinking that they aren't the one, when really you never even gave them the opportunity or the chance to step up and be the person that you know they have the capacity to be. I think something that is difficult sometimes for us as women is we have a unique ability to see a man's full potential more than they can even see it sometimes. And we date for potential a lot of the time because we're divine feminines. We can see the love and what this person is able to give, even if they're not giving it yet, and it can trip us up. Instead of you dating that person for their potential or what they can do, just speak up for what you need now and invite them to reach that potential now. You have to be honest with them, but in order to be honest with them, you have to be honest with yourself. And the biggest part of ending situationships, of beating hookup culture, it's in line with intentional intimacy, but stop giving your body away. I don't care what feminists try to convince you about. I don't care what they're trying to tell you. I've said this 1,000 times, but feminism had an amazing root. Of course, we want equal pay for doing the same job. Of course, we want the right to vote. Of course, we want to be able to drive and get an education. Of course. But what feminism has molded itself into today is something very different than what was originally intended. And that's what I disagree with now, because they're saying in order to beat the patriarchy, you have to become like the patriarchy, become like a man, sleep with everyone. Absolutely freaking not. You don't want to be exchanging energy with random people. You don't want to be taking on their thought forms and their traumas. Save your time, your presence, your energy, your body for someone who can give you equal amounts of energy. Because when we overgive our body, our energy, our ideas, our attention to someone who can't hold it, we end up getting hurt. If you notice this is happening in your life, you have the power to disengage with this behavior. I think a lot of us are chasing this feeling of closeness where we think being intimate with a bunch of different people are going to somehow fill up our holes. They're not filling up our holes. They're making our holes larger and deeper, and it's hurting us. Every time we're intimate with someone, we're having this energetic exchange. It's called energetic transference, where we're taking on their energy and we're giving some of our energy to them too. I have multiple podcast episodes on this. I will link them in the bio where we go in depth about energy transference. But understand that giving too much of yourself away eventually will just have you depleted when those people are not equally filling you up with their energy. It's just how the universe works. There's nothing wrong with you, but there may be dysfunction in how much energy you're giving out. Take it from me. I've done the whole let me give everything, prove myself worthy of love, and it sucked. They never see your worth. They'll never be convinced. Begging does not do anything. And then I've experienced connections where people could see my worth. They could fill me up emotionally, physically, all of these things. And those connections always feel much, much better. So are situationships really freeing? Yeah, they're free of peace and they're free of clarity and they're free of feeling grounded on planet Earth. And they're devoid of stability and feeling at peace and love and commitment. And if we keep aligning with people who don't want commitment, we have to be asking ourselves, what is this reflecting back to me? Am I not committed to myself? Is there a part of me that's afraid of committing to someone? Do I have this fear of abandonment? Is there work I need to do on myself before I get back into the dating pool? There is no rush. Don't let these outside external sources put that pressure on you. Everyone's journey is different. But if you know you want this like yesterday, then we need to start to do this work on ourselves. You cannot be allowing people who don't want committed relationships if that's what you want and you are like, CC, no girl, I am on a timer. This is my schedule. I want to get engaged this year. Okay, then we need to fast track, stop allowing what we don't want, and only allow what we do. I don't care how prevalent hookup culture is. It is not something you have to be a part of. I personally, not a part of it, really never have been a part of it, and never will, because I know that it doesn't serve my greatest good or my higher purpose. I didn't come here to deplete myself. I came here to fill myself up, and so did you. 2024 is hitting different. It is a year of an 8. It is a year of abundance. It is a year of love, of heart chakra openings. So let yourself receive love. And how? By not allowing yourself to receive anything less than that. I love you so much. As always, a sparkle in me honors a sparkle in you. If this podcast episode resonated with you, please leave a positive review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also follow me on YouTube where you can watch the podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. And I will see you in the next one. Mwah.